So, my name is Coco Bardot. I am eternally 22 years old, but I'm actually 27 years old. I go by she and her pronouns, and I consider myself a lesbian.
Were there any signs/feelings in your childhood? We're talking about your sexuality.
Oh, very much so. I saw Janet Jackson's video for That's the Way Love Goes when I was like 5-ish, and I felt things for that first time. And gosh, around 5, I also wanted to, hold a girl's hand a little more than most other kids want to. So I knew early on that I liked, at least like girls, but I kind of clung to bisexual until I turned 18. So, and then after that, I came out fully lesbian.
Was there a specific time, age, place that you remember where you admitted to yourself internally, like, yes, I am a lesbian?
Very much so. I was about 11 years old, and I don't know what we were watching, what we were doing, but it was like me and my mom and my brothers in a room, and gay marriage came up, and I was like, wait, gay people can't get married? Like, it blew my mind, because, like, I had a gay aunt, and she had her wife, but it wasn't, burst my bubble, I found it wasn't a real wife. So, like, sitting on the couch, I had to ask, wait, gay people can't get married? And I thought, oh crap, I can't get married. Like, I'm never gonna be able to get married. And like that was my like little moment. So I never looked up what a lesbian was, I guess, until high school, because I just knew that, like, from 5 up, I knew I liked holding hands with girls, and at 11, I was like, okay, gay people, which meant I liked girls, but like the actual lesbian word never came up until high school, Googling stuff in school, and I probably shouldn't have, and, just learning a lot online about lesbians, as any other girl does. So, like, I never looked for it until I was like 16, and like for sure, like, looking at girls to date in school and stuff like that. So,
tell me about your favorite memory since identifying as lesbian.
This story's kind of wild, but I dated around the military a lot, and I had a partner who went overseas. She deployed for 6 months. So the natural fall of like military spouses goes that all the women click up together, and we all become the Real Housewives of the Air Force, and like these bitches were the Real Housewives of the Air Force. So one exact night, I went out with these girls, and one of them had a husband that wasn't where he was supposed to be, and her little Sprint locator and app showed him at a place he wasn't supposed to be. So, instead of going to the club, we were diverted to this restaurant where we found dude and another chick in their car bumping ugly. So, like, the wife beat up her husband and beat up the chick, and the police were called, and I was just like, drop me off somewhere, because I don't want to take any part of this like tomfoolery. And like, they dropped me off back to my car, and I was like, I'm either going to go home or go somewhere else. And I just happened to pass where one of the gay bars were. And like, I'd never really hung out there. I didn't think I had to hang out with other lesbians to feel like a lesbian. But like, I went to the gay bar, and I walked in, and got my wristband, and I just like took a deep breath, and I was like, my people. And like, it was like the most refreshing moment. Like, that was my last time. I was like, I'm never hanging out with straight girls again. They're fucking crazy. And yeah, that was like my proudest little leslie moment, just breaking free of like the Real Housewives. First time doing drag was totally accidental. Before I started drag, I did Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is, lip syncing and costume and everything like that. I have a musical theater background, and I'm not much of a singer, but I can dance a little. So I was already doing Rocky Horror, and someone approached me that, hey, you could do drag, and I don't think you should do boy drag, because like, these aren't going flat. But like, you should try like femme drag, or everyone used the word faux queen at the time, which is like passe. So someone approached me about it, and I was like, maybe not. So I just happened to meet someone from the Rocky Horror cast who was getting kicked out of their apartment, drag queen herself. So I invited her to my crib, and she stayed with me about 6 months. And like, the first time she got me in drag, we were just playing around at the crib and listening to music, and she put me in a wig, and then she put me in makeup, and just told me, well, just walk around and how you would do this song. And like, my first time really in drag was in the middle of my living room with this person laughing at me while doing some Kimbrough song. And like, yeah, after that, I was like, all right, let's do an open mic night. Let's try it for real. So like maybe a week or two later, I did it, and it was on Halloween night is when I did like Coco for the first night, and I've been hooked for the past 6 years ever since. So. So yes, I'm a Halloween drag queen. Sorry, y'all.
What is the first makeup item you remember wearing?
I remember sneaking my mom's lip liner when I was like 7 or 8. So my mom looked just like Jada Pinkett Smith growing up. She had like the short little like braids, and she always wore overalls, and she like had a swag about her. But like her makeup would be on point. So like she might look like a dude in her dress, but like her lips were always done, her eyes were always done. So like I grabbed her lip liner one day and I put it on with nothing else, just lip liner. That was it. I went outside thinking I was fly. And I got roasted by my brothers. But like that was probably like the first time I kind of played around in makeup. Before drag, the most you would see me in is like some small eyeshadow and one of those awful CoverGirl compact things that do nothing for you, really. Just clean up your oil. But until that night where I actually was putting makeup in a wig and stuff, I didn't do makeup. I wasn't about it. I was going to be a cop, and like that was my goal. So makeup was just secondary.
Tell me about coming out. Who did you tell first, and what was their response?
So going back to, I don't know, my dad knew since I was 11. Going back to age 11 when I was like the realization that gay people can get married, and I straight up asked my dad, I was like, would you still love me if I decided I wanted to marry a girl? In my 11-year-old voice. And he said, no, we would never speak again. And I was like, okay, whatever. So fast forward to 17. I was messing around with a girl at school and called her on the phone. And at this time I wasn't living with my parents. At age 13 I moved out because friction between me and my dad was just so rough. He knew damn well I was gay. And that's probably why everything was rough. But I moved out and moved with my mother's brother and his wife. So I was on the phone talking to some girl from school, and my aunt overheard me say, I love you, Emily, and she kind of stood outside the door, and she kind of knocked, and she was like, is there something you want to tell me? And I was like, God, no, whatever do you mean? And she's like, you can, like, tell me if you want to. So broke down in tears, and I was like, I think I like girls, and you know, I held on to bisexual until I moved out. But, like, so 17 is when I officially came out to that side of the family. I didn't come out to my parents until I was 18. So I could figure I could at least press better charges against my dad if he swung on me when I came out. And luckily he didn't. But yeah, I came out to my mom and my brothers and my dad at 18 and got the tears from my mother. And my dad just wrote me off. And my dad's Muslim. So I got the whole, you know, going to the hellfire and Allah and all that noise. So yeah, coming out officially to the world at 18 was like my official out moment.
What are some milestones and goals that you've accomplished since coming out?
Since coming out, I've gotten married. So that's like one thing from 11 years old, I didn't think I could get married. And I dated in the military when Don't Ask, Don't Tell existed. And I was a cousin instead of a girlfriend. And eventually once that went away and we got marriage equality throughout the country, I was like, oh crap, it can happen. And I was still single. But like the fact that it was open and like available, like it was okay. And then like a couple months after marriage equality passed, I, asked my girlfriend at the time if she'd marry me. And, a year later to the day of U.S. marriage equality, we got married, and 2 years now. But I guess being able to get married is one of my biggest accomplishments. I'm about to be a mother, and I didn't think that ever happened because, you need a boy for a little bit for that one situation. So I didn't think I'd be a mother, but that's like another big moment. And it just happened recently. I don't know. I did a show at a lesbian bar, and it was my last show since I'm moving. And, they announced it, and they brought my wife up, and she hates coming up on stage. But she came up, and it was like a room full of mostly lesbians, but there were some guys littered in, but they were like, yeah, they're married and they're having a kid. And like, it was like all our lesbians like cheered for us, and it was like our tribe, like the Amazons, like cheering us off to battle. That's what it felt like being not only cheered on by our own community, but like just feeling that love in a room. So that was really nice. So that was my most recent proud lesbian moment. So
Are there any other notable drag moments?
gosh, I guess going to Austin Drag Fest is going to be my big drag moment. I've been to DragCon for the past 2 years, and DragCon is really cute, and like I met so many people and got to take pictures and buy stuff, but I didn't get to perform. And like I'm a drag queen, so all I got to do is walk around for 3 days and take pictures. But like Austin is like I get to walk around and take pictures and kiki with new people, but I get to actually be on stage and be one of like the many hundreds of performers that get to, and they take everyone, like season queens, like newbies, like there's some people who've only been in drag for a couple months who got like picked for this. So I think that's going to be like a big moment for me. I'm really excited about that. And like the festival got like reported on the InfoWars last year, and they were like talking about the gays indoctrinating children, and I'm like really excited to be featured on that this year.
Did coming out notably affect your dating life?
Very much so. I had a couple beards in high school, and the boys that, you know, I'm supposed to date, and like any dances I went to high school were usually arranged dates because I just would not wait around to be asked. And like my aunt just hated seeing me go with myself. Like she didn't know I was gay, but she would just like get coworkers' sons to take me to all these things. So it was gross. So I don't know, just not having to have a beard anymore. It's probably one of the best feelings. Actually having that same aunt who, when I came out to her, she was kind of weird about it, but she told me she was okay. But like now she's like, I'm sending you baby stuff, and I accept everything. It's another good moment.
Were there any actionable steps towards everything that have made you feel like you truly are being your authentic self?
Moving from Phoenix is probably one of them. When we moved here to Phoenix, we knew it would be a pit stop back to Colorado. When wifey got out of the Army, nothing was hiring in the state, so we had to move to Albuquerque and then move to Phoenix to find like actual VA federal jobs. So we knew Phoenix would be a pit stop, and I feel like I did as much as I could. I grew as much as I could. I grew a lot here. I will say that. I learned a lot here. But like I did all I can do, and now I'm off to venture into what I really want and taking over Denver and, you know, letting the bitches have it.
Are there any words you find offensive?
Not anymore. I used to hate dyke because my dad used to love that bull dagger when referring to my gay aunt and her wife, you know, bull dagger, dyke, and that was like a nasty word to me, and I was like, well, I don't want to be a dyke. He would make it sound like, you know, dykes didn't clean themselves, and like just made it sound like a really dirty word. But now I'm just like hell yeah, I'm a big old lesy dyke, and I can say that proudly just because there were many women before me who couldn't say it proudly, and I'm going to use it now. And like even my catchphrase, Coco is cunty. Well, cunty is a dirty word to a lot of women, and it's just as bad as bitch, where in the gay community, bitch is like saying sis, where calling me a cunt isn't a bad thing. I am a raging cunt, but it's part of my shtick. It's part of my art. So like words like that don't bother me. I guess in the beginning, faux queen really pissed me off because, you know, fake drag queen was always the one thing. And when I started performing in Colorado, I was like the butt of the joke. I wasn't one of the first ones. Like I was one of many at the time, but like the faux queen was like the butt of the joke or whatever. And, you know, why don't you just do burlesque queen or the fake queen and stuff like that. So faux queen still has like a little like myth feeling behind it.
What kind of struggles have you faced in public?
Nothing too much so far as drag. In the beginning, I got a whole lot of like drunken gays coming at me and, you know, filling me up and asking if they're really real, and, you know, well, if they're real, then what are you doing this for? And, you know, going back to doing burlesque bullshit.
Have you been a victim of a hate crime? If so, can you elaborate?
I have a couple instances. The first time was coming home from open mic night at the drag bar, and I lived maybe 5 minutes from the club. I happened to be walking home, and just some random homeless guy asked me if I was a dyke and if I was at the dyke bar, and, you know, dykes like me shouldn't exist, and he swung on me, like hit my jaw, fractured my jaw. And that was the first time I ever felt fearful for my life as a lesbian. Even going back to, you know, being in high school and being fearful of my dad popping off, like, I had the underlying fear that he could, but I never knew that he would, where, you know, being 19, 20 and actually being hit and assaulted for it, like, that was, like, mind-blowing. And I didn't, you know, all I kept saying is I didn't do anything. I was just walking home. Like, I didn't say anything to him. I just had my head down and was going to go home and take a shower and call it a night. But here I am at the hospital and dealing with all that. And, yeah, the first time that happened, it sucked. And then I want to say maybe a year or two later, I dealt with a mutual friend sexually assaulting me. And it was at a time where I got dumped by, like, a total bitch girl. And I was like, fine, I'm done with women. So I started dating a guy. I started dating a guy who owned his own hair salon and did wigs for drag queens, but he was straight, okay? So I started messing around and dating a guy. And, like, himself, me and him got along well enough. And, you know, I've found myself comfortable with him. So I figured this guy took it as, if she's sleeping with one guy, she'll sleep with me too. And he tried everything that he did. And I guess that whole, Kavanaugh and Christine Ford, that whole thing brought it back up. Because it was something I didn't report. It was something I only told a handful of people who knew him, his roommates. The next morning I told him what happened, and I told my gay aunt. I told the aunt who, like, I always looked up to as a kid. I told her, and her first thing was, well, did you do anything to provoke him? And, like, that was another frightening moment, because it was like, no, I just existed. And because I guess in his head he thought because I was messing with one guy, it was okay for him to jump on me however he wanted to. So
what's next for you?
A lot. I have, like, this mental 6-month plan for Coco, and I have one for myself personally. Personally is help my wife birth this baby, get hired at one of the many makeup positions I applied for in Denver. Coco, it took 2.5 years to be put on a monthly show here and to be cast. It took 2 years, and I didn't even get to be on the cast long enough because I'm leaving now. Like, my Denver goal is I want to be on a monthly cast. It doesn't have to be weekly, just something once a month. Within 2 months of being there, I just at least want to be recognizable as one of the few black femmes that they have out there. Because Denver has its own race issues. Like, they love their femmes skinny and blonde, so that's cool. But, like, I'm coming, and I'm not skinny and blonde sometimes, but so I'm coming there, and I want Coco from Phoenix to be Coco from Denver, who takes over everything. So
if you were to be given the opportunity to tell your younger self one word of advice, what would it be?
See, 5-year-old gay me was okay and kind of didn't understand everything, but I go back to, like, 17-year-old me crying to my aunt and being really confused. I just wish I could tell myself, don't waste your time trying to please your family, because I'm still dealing with that now. Like, I want to tell 17-year-old me, cut the shit, screw them people, they won't even matter in 10 years anyway, and they don't. So now I'm dealing with, well, they don't matter, but I still want them to love me and notice me. So don't rely on opinions of those people. Blood and family is, like, I made my own family from all the people I've met in the community and in drag and in Rocky Horror and everything. And, like, I've got the coolest family ever, so.
What was one message you would like to leave to the little boys and girls going through similar situations?
One message I'd want to leave is don't force yourself to do things you don't want to do to appease people. I went on those forced arranged dates in high school, and I knew I didn't want to, and you don't have to conform to anything your family tells you to do, because once you're 18, they're only just background fodder. So they're your past. Make your own future.